You can't really go online now without bumping into something about AI, right? Is it taking our jobs, changing schools, even like our friendships?
Yeah, it feels like it's moving incredibly fast. So much noise out there.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we wanted to focus on one perspective, try and get some clarity on it all.
That's the plan. We're looking at the impact of AI work, learning, relationships, and we're drawing heavily from a YouTube video transcript. It's by Saba Quidwai, an AI strategy consultant.
Right. And she's got, a solid background, Apple, USC. So she's seen this stuff in practice. Seems like a pretty grounded take.
hmm The idea is to sift through it and figure out what these shifts could actually mean for you, for how you work, learn, connect.
Okay, so let's dive in. Saba
Okay.
starts pretty directly, basically saying it's on us individually in this AI era. She puts it plainly. No one's coming to push you.
And that really hits home, doesn't it? The example she uses, turning off the TV, applying for jobs, or, getting AI training, they're all things we have to initiate.
Puts the responsibility squarely on us.
Yeah, exactly. When everything feels so big and out of control, she's saying, hey, you've got agency here. Don't just sit back and watch. Your future kind of depends on being proactive with this AI stuff.
And she points to the bigger picture, too. Like, apparently the U.S. government admitted in an Ezra Klein interview they don't really feel ready for AGI.
AGI, artificial general intelligence. Basically, AI that's as smart as humans across the board.
Right. And she also mentioned a New York Times piece from March 2025 saying most people, most institutions aren't even ready for the AI we have now.
And that article apparently warned against being too skeptical about AI, saying it gives a false sense of security, which just underlines the speed, If governments feel behind, it signals massive potential changes. The urgency is real. It's not just academic curiosity anymore. It's about understanding and adapting.
So one area moving super fast is coding. The transcript mentions this prediction.
Right?
AI writing maybe 90% of code in, what, 3 to 6 months?
And possibly all of it within a year. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a huge claim.
Definitely makes you pause and think about software development jobs.
But then Saba brings in her Apple experience, right? Their whole everyone can code thing.
Yeah, what was the point there?
Well, she says their focus wasn't just on the syntax, the rules of coding. It was more about teaching new ways to think, how to problem solve, how to bring ideas to life using technology.
Ah, okay. So even if the AI writes the code.
Understanding the logic, the structure, this sort of language of technology is still key.
The transcript talks about plain English becoming the main interface. Prompt engineering.
Exactly. Like, the skill becomes telling the AI what you want, clearly, effectively, in normal language, refining those instructions.
So maybe less about typing brackets and semicolons.
And more about communication, articulation, understanding the potential and limits of the tech. That skill seems durable.
Okay, so this shift affects more than just technical skills. It even touches on relationships, which feels unexpected. We always hear AI can't replace real human connection.
Right, that's the standard line. But the transcript challenges that a bit. It mentioned the Bloomberg article. The headline was something like, "With friends like this, who needs humans?"
Wow. Okay.
And the point made is that people are already forming connections with AI. Why? Well, maybe they feel isolated or they just don't want to, bother other people.
So AI isn't necessarily replacing strong friendships.
But maybe stepping into gaps where human connection is weak or missing, filling a void, perhaps.
That connects to something else in the transcript, some surprising reactions on LinkedIn. People got quite defensive about AI potentially helping with, say, teaching or relationship building aspects.
Yeah, she mentions negative comments from a consultant, a professor, and one teacher apparently said they weren't called to teach, which is interesting.
What's the takeaway from that?
Well, it might highlight a disconnect, right? We talk about empathy, patience, understanding as uniquely human.
But we don't always show up that way.
Exactly. The defensiveness, the dismissive comments she described, they ironically kind of show humans not embodying those ideal traits consistently.
It's almost like that Dale Carnegie stuff, how to win friends and influence people. Just basic appreciation and kindness.
Right. So the argument isn't that AI feels, but that it can offer interaction when humans sometimes don't. It steps into spaces we leave empty.
Yeah.
Have you seen similar reactions yourself?
Definitely. Mention AI taking on certain tasks, and sometimes people get quite protective, even if the reality is complex.
It's a sensitive area, and this ties into a broader feeling mentioned in the transcript, people feeling disconnected, maybe insecure about jobs, opportunities dwindling, feeling sort of invisible.
Which must have a real impact.
For sure. And that's where this other idea comes in the 7-11-4 framework from Daniel Priestley. It's presented as a potential way to build trust and maybe find some meaning in all this.
Okay, 7-11-4. Break that down for us.
Sure. It's basically a model for building familiarity and trust. The idea is 7 hours of someone consuming your content, 11 different touch points or interactions across 4 different locations or contexts.
7 hours, 11 touches, 4 places. How does that build trust?
It creates repeated exposure and interaction in various ways, moving beyond just a single encounter. It builds depth over time. In a fragmented world, it suggests a path to connection.
Interesting. And the transcript applies this specifically to education, secondary school teachers.
Yes, which is a fascinating angle. Instead of just, say, a final exam, imagine assessment based on this framework.
So the 7 hours, how would that work?
Think of it as 7 hours of deep engagement throughout a course or project. Not just passively listening, but maybe working on in-depth projects, building portfolios, having deep discussions, maybe even merging subjects. It's a journey, not a single test.
Okay, that moves away from just memorizing facts, which AI is great at anyway.
Exactly. It assesses deeper understanding, making connections.
And the 11 touch points.
That would be multiple lower-stakes interactions. Instead of one high-pressure exam, you'd have maybe reflections, short assignments, peer feedback sessions, discussions, bits of portfolio work, all counting towards the final picture.
So more chances to show learning, less pressure on one single moment.
Well, it reflects the process of learning better.
And the 4 locations, learning outside the classroom.
Yeah, that's the idea. Learning happens at home, online, maybe in the community through projects, or even by students creating their own content like videos or blog posts for a wider audience.
Taking learning into the real world, applying it.
Precisely. It connects learning to purpose, to agency, making things, sharing things. It helps answer the why does this matter question.
So this whole 7-11-4 approach in schools, the goal is
To shift the focus. Less on just knowing stuff AI can do that, more on intelligence, critical thinking, connecting ideas, applying knowledge, and crucially, fostering that sense of meaning and purpose.
So wrapping this up then, the key takeaways from this source seem to be, first, that individual responsibility is huge in the age of AI.
Definitely. Don't wait to be pushed.
Second, the nature of technical skills, like coding, is evolving rapidly. Understanding concepts might become more important than just writing the code itself.
Prompt engineering, clear communication with AI.
Third, AI is already impacting human connection, maybe filling voids rather than directly replacing strong bonds.
Yeah, that's a really nuanced point, and the reactions to that idea are telling.
And finally, this 7-11-4 framework offers a potentially powerful model, especially for rethinking education, to focus on deeper learning, agency, and purpose.
And it helps reframe AI, doesn't it? Not just as a disruptor, but as a tool. A powerful tool for creativity if we learn how to use it well.
Which really brings it back to you, the listener. How can you maybe level up your own interactions, your work, your learning, knowing all this?
Could that 7-11-4 idea apply somehow in your world? Or in the education of people you know?
It leaves us with a pretty big question based on something Saba mentioned.
That quote, someone else is already writing the future that you are going to be living in.
Yeah. So how are you going to actively participate? How will you help write your future in this AI-influenced world?
Lots to think about. This conversation is definitely just starting.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.